A trembling voice cut through the laughter like a knife. "Signori, may I play for a plate of food?" The hall roared with laughter again, loud and cold. 200 wealthy men and women, gathered for a lavish banquet, exchanged glances. And then everyone saw him, a boy of about 10, thin, barefoot, with eyes that reflected the dust and hunger of the streets. He stood in the middle of the hall.
"He doesn't even know how to sit," Vicente said loudly. "Let's give him a chance. If he can play anything decent, I'll buy him dinner." Laughter like applause in a gladiator arena. They expected humiliation. The boy sat. His feet barely reached the floor. He ran his hand over the keys as if caressing them, and closed his eyes for a moment. And then the first note sounded, and the hall froze. It was pure, clear, like a drop of rain in the desert. Then came the second, the third. A simple melody, but in it was more sincerity than in all the oligarch's speeches that night. The old man stood beside him, watching with a gaze that held both mentorship and recognition. He knew there was something in this child, something no millions could buy. Vicente frowned. It's chance. He can't—" But his words drowned in the music. The boy played as if each note were his last chance. He had no technique, but he had heart, and that heart captured the hall. The laughter died. Some even closed their eyes, letting the music touch what they had long forgotten. When the melody ended, silence followed, real, deep silence. The old man leaned toward the boy, his voice soft but loud enough for all to hear. "You played the truth, son, and truth is worth more than gold." He doesn't even know how to sit, Vicente said loudly. Let's give him a chance. If he can play anything decent, I'll buy him dinner. Laughter like applause in a gladiator arena. They expected humiliation. Applause burst out, sudden and raw, like ragged breath. Vicente sat frozen, pale as chalk. His world was crumbling. He wanted to shout that it was absurd, but no words came. The old man turned to the hall. Tonight I showed you a small musician. Tomorrow he may stand among you as an equal. Do not forget this. His eyes met Vicente's, and the oligarch looked away. And the boy still sat at the piano, staring at the keys as though they were a doorway to another world. A world where the worth of a human being was measured not by suits and accounts, but by what sounded from the depths of the soul. When the applause faded, the boy did not move. His fingers still trembled over the keys, as if the music within him had not yet ended. The old man almost placed a hand on his shoulder, but something stopped him, a strange sense that beside him sat not just a child. From that night, the story of the boy spread faster than any stock market news. No one knew who he was or where he had come from, but everyone repeated the same name, Sebastian. He did not play for stages or titles. He played where there was pain, in slums and under bridges, in abandoned schools and hospitals. His melodies sounded over cities where people had long forgotten how to dream. And everywhere the same thing happened. The crowd gathered out of curiosity, but stayed because the heart would not let go. People left changed. Workers stopped drinking so they could come again. Mothers sang lullabies to their children again. The young believed life could still change. Sebastian's music became a spark. It was recorded secretly, uploaded online. The video spread by the millions. Even those who had mocked the hungry boy with the piano could not remain indifferent. But with the wonder came fear. Vicente and his clan felt their power slipping. Their rule rested on fear and greed, and Sebastian shattered both. His music made people free.
powerful, emotional. The sand lashed against his face like thousands of sharp needles. The desert night roared. The wind howled, tearing at his clothes, knocking him off his feet. Arvin walked blindly, nearly falling to his knees. "Help!" A cry pierced through the howl of the storm. He froze. Peering through the whirling sand, he caught sight of faint headlights. Inside a stuck car, girls were screaming. 5 silhouettes, trapped by fear in the storm. "Hold on!" he shouted, but his voice was swallowed by the roaring wind. And he went forward, alone against the desert, alone against death.
When I first saw Gabriel in the workshop, time seemed to stop. His hands skillfully worked on the engine, his gaze focused as if fully immersed in his task. I felt a tremor run through my body. My heart was pounding so loudly it felt like everyone around could hear it. The small scar on his forehead shone like a beacon in the darkness, reminding me of all the years of searching, all the pain, and every prayer I had whispered on my knees in the truck cabin. "Gabriel," I breathed, barely audible. He looked up at me. In his eyes flickered confusion, curiosity, and something deeply familiar. My heart tightened as I realized this was truly him, my son, the one I had been searching for 24 years. "Signor?" He began, trying to understand what was happening. "Do I know you?" I could barely speak. The words stuck in my throat. 24 years of separation, 24 years of suffering and hope, all condensed into a single moment. "Gabriel, I am your father." His eyes widened, his breath caught for a second, and then I saw something that words cannot describe. Instant recognition. A gaze that was both childlike and adult at the same time. A deep, intrinsic sense of belonging, impossible to fake. We sat down, and I told him everything about his childhood, the small scar on his forehead, Christiane's last words, her painful addiction, and how I had searched for him all these years. He listened silently, occasionally asking questions, sometimes just staring at me, trying to comprehend the incredible story. "I tried to find you from day one," I said quietly. "I never stopped believing that one day we would meet." The words were heavy on my chest, but they were true. And when Gabriel realized I had truly been there all along, searching for him, even when it seemed hopeless, tears filled his eyes. "Why didn't you come sooner?" he asked softly. "Because life had other plans, son. But I was always near, in thoughts, in prayers, in every mile of the road. And now I am here." We began spending more time together, at first cautiously, carefully getting to know each other again. He told me about his childhood with his new family, how kind people had raised him, how he learned, grew, and developed. I listened, asked questions, but tried not to intrude. This was his journey. At the same time, I shared stories he had never heard, about his early childhood, first steps, little scars, toothless smiles. Each story was a bridge across 24 years, reconnecting our hearts. We started taking small trips together along the highways, which had always symbolized freedom and life for me. Now these trips became a space for dialogue, rebuilding trust, laughter, and the small joys we had lost.